Erdbeermilch, lecker. Das schmeckt mir in Amerika am besten. So einfach. Nur Milch und Eiscreme.
Okay, first question. Was the success of the first Wolfenstein, you pronounce it, a surprise for you?
I mean, I think that we actually were really happy with what we created, so we thought we would do quite well. And when we did the PR for the first game, we kind of had to explain to people that it's worth looking at, right? Because Wolfenstein, people felt it was a little bit tired at that point, and we made a Wolfenstein that was a bit different than previous Wolfensteins, perhaps a more modern game. But I think we knew what we had, and we just tried to show the world. And I think the world now knows what kind of Wolfenstein we're making. So I hope it's going to be a little bit easier to talk about it this time, because we don't have to explain what our Wolfenstein, the MachineGames Wolfenstein, is anymore.
I think something like, what am I doing here? I'm trivializing one of the darkest hours in the history of humanity, with that game and the game before and the whole franchise. Is it something on your mind sometimes? I
mean, this is not a venture we go in without reflecting at all about it, of course. And I actually think that, you know, we, I guess, see Wolfenstein as we hold a splintered, cracked funhouse mirror in front of the history of Europe. And we exaggerate things, and we have humor in it as well, dark humor. But I also think in the New Order and in this game, it gives us opportunities to actually kind of talk a little bit about fascism and oppression and what it means to some degree. And that goes back to what I was saying about America and America's, you know, troubled history, like any other country's history is. We can talk a little bit about that. So yeah, it gives us opportunities to actually talk a little bit about it, but I guess it depends on what kind of player you are, if you look at that or not, or if you just go, hey, it's fun to shoot bad guys, you know. Yeah, so the Wolfenstein 1, or you know, the New Order, that was kind of like a statement from us. We were a new studio coming from Starbreeze mostly. And it was like a statement. This is who we are, the kinds of games we want to do, the way we want to tell stories, and this is how we think that Wolfenstein should be for the future. And that was like our foundation when we started working on this game. And we thought, okay, so we finally get to make a sequel. The Starbreeze guys have never had the chance to do a sequel of any of their games, not a proper sequel anyway. So this was our chance. We just looked at all the kind of core components of the game and the story, and just try to dial it up in quality and in intensity. I can give a few examples. Like we have 3 play styles. We have mayhem and tactical and stealth that you can always play throughout the game. You can focus on a play style if you want to, or you can just switch organically between them how you want to play. And we really try to make sure that these play styles are always available and always fun. That every enemy is, you know, can be beaten with either play style. And mayhem is just, I think, how most people view our game is, you know, dual wielding, powerful weapons, you know, automatic shotguns, and just rushing into combat scenario and just slaying the enemy, moving like a whirlwind through them. And then we have tactical, which is more about using covers, more directed fire, taking headshots, moving between positions, flanking the enemy. And then we have our stealth, which I think is different than the stealth of many other games, and it's about, it's not about avoiding the enemy, it's about trying to assassinate the enemy without you ever being seen, right? So it's not about avoiding danger, it's just finding ways not to be discovered while doing it. So that's a big part of what we have tried to push for, to make sure that you can always kind of play the way you want, hopefully. Another thing we have is we've had from day one of the project, we've had one team that's been completely devoted to like the first person experience. We call them Through the Gun team. And they're working on implementing the full body that we now have in the game, the BG's body, and just moving through the world, interacting with the world, being in the world, shooting in the weaponry, just feel as great as possible. So they worked non-stop on that throughout the entire project. You can now dual wield weapons with different combinations. So you can, for example, have the automatic shotgun in one hand and the battle rifle in the other one. So you're always just prepared for close encounters and more distance encounters. And my favorite there is the upgraded Laserkraftwerk, which can now melt armor plates of enemies.
Listen, Laserkraftwerk.
Laserkraftwerk. I say it in Swedish, and the Americans are really impressed because they think I pronounce it in German. But I can't fool you. So anyway, so the Laserkraftwerk is really cool this time around because we tried to simplify its use. In the new order, it was really sweet where you could cut out shapes in metal, but that kind of gave us a problem with using it in combat, because it was really neat to be able to cut out shapes, but it's also too fiddly to actually use in combat. So we still use it a lot for progression or creating alternate routes, stuff like that. But now you can also just melt armor plates of, like the huge robot you met in the end of the demo. You can melt its armor plates with a Laserkraftwerk. Yeah. And just shoot, if you have a battle rifle in your other hand, you can shoot through the armor plates that you've now disintegrated. So that's really fun.
Okay.
Another thing we've done that I think is really neat is every now and then you return to the hub, and the hub of the game is the submarine the Resistance captured in the first Wolfenstein we made. Huge submarine. That's the hub. So you return there every now and then through the campaign. And when you get there, you can use what we call the war map, which is basically a map over America, where you can see the status of the different states, if they're occupied by the regime or if they're starting to be contested by the different resistance groups. So you can, from that map, you can return to areas you've already been and hunt down what we call Uber commanders, which are the regime's top dogs. And by assassinating Uber commanders, you will be able to help the resistance groups in liberating parts of American territory through that map. And it's really cool because you can, if you want to return to an area, you can, and the time of day will be different, the combat will be different, there might be an area or two that's unlocked that wasn't available before. And for players who want to really complete the game, they can go back and find the collectibles and the resources they missed the first time they were there. That's really sweet.
Is it necessary to help those?
It's completely optional.
It's completely
so you have the campaign.
So it's a kind of a meta game on top.
Yeah, it pretty much is. So you have the campaign, and in the campaign you return to the hub, the submarine, and it's completely optional if you want to take part in that part of the game, as some other things are. We have quite a few different activities and side missions in the hub that's completely optional.
Mm-hmm. Will you get rewarded for helping the like in more ammunition or something like that for the mission?
Or different endings?
Not different endings now. The ending is part of the campaign structure. But yeah, you will be rewarded somehow. But that's also part of like the mini story of that component of the game. Yeah.
So can we expect non-linear gameplay in the main missions, or is it just for the optional sub-missions?
It's only non-linear in the level structure we've built. So we always want you to have options in how you get through a level because of the 3 play styles. So you always have, not always, but you often have routes to sneak through, or you'll have the covers, or you have the bigger spaces to move through if you do the mayhem approach. So we don't have a we don't really have a non-linear campaign, but there's quite a lot of non-linearity in the levels themselves. And then we still have the two timelines with White and Fergus, which has both story and gameplay consequences.
Mutter? Sigrun! Sei still! Ich arbeite! Ich dachte, du würdest sie freilassen. Aber das tue ich doch. Ich befreie ihren Kopf von ihren Schultern. Aber du hast gesagt, dass... Und du hast gesagt, du würdest Sport treiben und den Zucker weglassen. Aber was haben meine Männer in deinem Zimmer gefunden? Schokolade, Kekse, Limonade, Süßigkeiten. Und dann diese kranken Tagebucheinträge. Du willst sie befreien? Gut. Nimm. Nimm! Mach schon. Befrei ihren Kopf von ihren Schultern. Ha? Du hast mein Tagebuch gelesen? Leg dich ab! Köpfe sie! Oder du kannst dich auf was gefasst machen. Los! Los, los! Los, los!